Alright, if you can't tell, this axe head needs a handle. So we're going to do that today. We'll put a new handle on it. You know, pretty basic, not very hard, but we'll go over what we need to do. Step one is we need to get this old handle out. And you can see I've already drilled a couple holes, and I'll drill a few more, and that'll just let me relieve the pressure that the wedges put on that, and be able to drive the rest of that the old handle out of there. I've had a friend of me the other day. He asked, "Why don't you just throw it in a brush fire?" Well, you throw it in a brush fire, you're going to ruin your temper on your blade. So never do that. That'll get the wood out of it, but it'll get the temper out of it as well. So give me a couple seconds, and I'll get rid of that. All right, after a few more holes are drilled, you know, the old handle's out, and we're ready to get started fitting the new handle. All right, you'll need to kind of push that down until you meet some pretty good resistance, and stop, and then you'll remove that axe head, and either a rasp or a belt sander or something to that effect, you'll remove the spots where the axe head was actually catching. Once you've removed enough material where you're confident that you can seat the axe head down close to the shoulder, you know, that's the time you need to drive it on home. And for this double bit axe, I used a cinder block with 2 pieces of wood, same thickness. Put that down, and then you know, just drive straight down on the handle to seat the axe. You can do the same with a single bit. You probably have to be a little bit more careful about getting everything centered up, but you get a good solid drive. You can actually see where you know, it peeled up a little bit of the wood where it drove on a little deeper than expected. Alright, next thing we need to do is we need to put a wedge in that handle. Your handle should have came with a wedge. If not, you know, they're not that hard to make. And you can buy them separately as well. And you could use carpentry wedges. You know, it's nothing, you know, particular. This looks like it's poplar, so you know, it's a relatively soft wood anyways. And we're going to be putting some wood glue on that. Use a good grade exterior wood glue when you're gluing these up. Now that we got the glue on the wedge and we've got it tapped ready to go, just going to take a dead blow hammer and seat that. And you can tell when you know, you've pretty much gone the extent of what it'll go. The wedge is seated good and tight. I just take a reciprocating sawzall, you know, whichever you prefer to call it, with a fine tooth blade, and I cut that off flush with the top of the head. There's varying opinions on you know, leaving a little bit stick up above the head. I don't really think that it matters, and I think that gives an axe another protrusion that could get hung on an obstacle. So that's one reason I flush it up. Alright, up next will be the metal wedges. I've got one in already, one started. Your wooden wedge, when driven, you know, will expand your handle out to the sides, grabbing onto the head. Your metal wedges will expand front to back, as well as some from side to side. These are probably a little bit too big. The handle, or the old handle that was in here, didn't have wedges in it, which kind of surprised me. Usually, you know, the older the tool, the more likely you will have these in it, but there weren't any. And you know, a local store, this is what all they had in stock. This was the smallest ones, so that's what I went with. And I had to angle these pretty steep to get them to fit properly. You know, it would have been better if they could have been a little bit more straight on. But yeah, it's not a big deal. we'll put 2 of them in there, and you know, basically the fitting of the head will be complete once that one's driven in. And yeah, it's just like driving a nail, nothing special. Just get it started, and then you just hammer it on in. All right, as far as putting the head on and you know, anchoring it to the handle or making it one with the handle, we're done. But this handle has a lacquer, polyurethane, some type of finish on it. You can see the sheen coming off of it when you move it in the light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand that off. That's the biggest cause of friction blisters when you're using these type of tools, is the stupid finish that most people put on there. So I'm going to take a couple minutes and remove that. Alright, once you got all the shine sanded off of that and got it down to bare wood, it's time to put a proper finish on it. I'll be using a linseed oil beeswax paste. I'll link the video of how to make that down in the bottom. We'll get this spread on real quick, and then we'll give this a shot. But just, you know, good coating of this. Boiled linseed oil will work good, but you know, the entire handle up top where you cut off, because we've cut everything off there, so it's just bare wood up there, so it needs a little bit of protection as well. But you know, give it a good little finish, and then you'll be ready to go. Alright, we got the head put on, the handle refinished, and it's basically ready to go. Got a piece of red oak here we're going to try it out on. Make sure everything stays together as it should. And it did fine. You know, if you're working with it, I'd pay attention. You know, where the bottom of the axe head is seated, and you know, every once in a while give it a look and see if that head's working up. But you know, if you did the wedges and everything proper, you shouldn't have any trouble with that whatsoever. But let me know what you think. Any questions, leave them in the comments, and subscribe.